Then the chief priests questioned Jesus about his disciples and about his teaching. And the Orthodox Study Bible says the questioning of the high priest tries to uncover subversive activity that would not only violate the law of Moses, but would be reason enough to accuse Jesus of a political crime before Pilate. And the reason why this was important was because they want to get rid of Jesus in the most final way possible. They want to see him die, but they do not have the legal authority to put him to death themselves. Now, in terms of the spiritual law, they have that authority, but in terms of Roman law, they didn't have that authority. And again, we might remember from last time, this is Passover. Jews from all over the world are in Jerusalem for this day. And the Romans are on high alert because they don't want the Jews to be causing any trouble. They don't want to see it, and it's zero tolerance. Several years before, that was also under Pontius Pilate, was an uprising where they tried to overthrow the Romans. The Romans, of course, put down the uprising because they're a military power to stop that from happening again. The following year, Pilate ordered that 150 Jews be randomly collected up from the streets, and they were crucified outside on the road to on the various roads to Jerusalem. This is one of the reasons why the Jewish leadership is trying to do all this in secret and trying to keep this really low key because they're afraid of unrest because they know what the Romans are going to do. So the idea of taking this man who some people think is the Messiah and taking him out and stoning him in front of the people, that's just a no-go. They have to do something else. And so they figure, well, we will try to convince the Romans, because if the Romans put him to death, no one's going to mess with the Romans because they know that the Romans are ready to respond to any kind of unrest and uprising with extreme prejudice, as they say. So they need to convince the Romans to put Jesus to death. And so this is what they're looking for, is some kind of an excuse that not only meets their requirements or their sense of the law that he's deserving of death, but that will also measure up to the Roman legal requirements as well. But there's this other thing that's going on here that's really important. The Jewish leadership do not receive the Messiah that God has sent them. And they not only reject him, they not only cast him off, but they even give him over to the Gentiles. They give him over to the unbelievers. And this shows the severity of their willful disobedience to God. It's not even enough that they reject the Messiah, but they release him, which is actually interesting prophecy, because what happens? The Messiah does go to the Gentiles, but not in the way that they're thinking, not in the way that they're looking at it here.